Welcome back to Izuna for Corona. We are gonna have a tricky battle here against Magisa and Forza. Magisa has some, I don't know, she has some interesting things. She is a magic caster, but she is susceptible to being muted. So who she targets right away there actually has a pretty big impact on the battle. I'm gonna wait for Ferris to try her mute spell, see if she hits it. She does hit it. So we are in really nice shape right now because Magisa will pretty much just try to cast magic on us over and over and over again. So now we are going to apply the armor or the protect spell on everybody. Because when she starts to get low on hit points, she is going to summon Forza, her honey. And Forza is a physical bruiser, so he's going to start pounding away with physical attacks. Arrow is an enemy skill that can get through that mute status, sadly, so it is too bad that she's gonna hit us with arrow. That's too bad. But we're gonna get armor on as best we can, and then we have to start going on the defensive and try to beat down Magisa. And it's gonna be slow going, because our damage, as you can see, is pretty low. Ferris has the flail, and it's always a good idea for the person with the character with the highest speed to have the best weapon or the best offensive output, because she'll get turns more often than anybody else. Sadly, a flail is not a weapon you can just buy at the shop, so the flail is just going to be our only main source of damage. I could move all my characters into the front row, which I think I might do, because they're getting, right now, pretty severe penalties for back row, and the flail can miss pretty poorly. The thing will be, I'll just have to really quickly move everybody to the back row besides Ferris when Forza does show up, because Forza, even with the armor there, can hit us pretty hard if we are in the front row. So this should boost the damage up to around that 15 to 30 range again from those little guys, and then in about twice that from the flail from Ferris when it hits. But the flail is a lot less accurate than a staff. I'm going to get a little risky here because it looked like the drain spell was not blocked, which means that the mute status ran out on her. It just missed. So when it said drain and then it didn't play an animation, but it didn't say ineffective, it means that drain attempted to actually happen, but it missed its chance roll to hit us. And so ineffective means that it got blocked by the mute status. So you can kind of tell what's going on behind the scenes if you just know which menu commands to look at and follow. I'm going to have Lena do a cure-all here just to get everybody back up towards that full hit points. I have not been counting her hit points too carefully, but if she gets down below that 300 or around that 300 level, she will, here it is, she will summon her honey. And so now this gets a little bit dicey because I need to get everybody into the back row quickly, and they all need to get an action before they get punched. So we are all in the back row now, which is good. We can't really stop Forza from hitting us. And that's actually interesting. I'm going to have Ferris smack that guy. She tried to cast regen, but she missed the regen, I believe. So I'm going to mute her again. We missed that, so maybe the mute is still on her. So sometimes my menuing is not perfect. And you can see our damage is back down to very poor against Forza, but he will still hit us and he will still do some decent damage. All right, so Bolt, so that is blocked. Or that was blocked by the mute. Status, okay. And we'll do very little again to Forza except for Ferris, because Ferris can puncture his armor and does nice damage, even though damage is pretty wild and it can miss a lot. And you can see being in the back row cuts the damage in half, and then having the mute spell cuts the damage in half again. That was actually a physical attack from Magisa back there, so she does have some physical attacks in her routine. I'm going to have Lena do another cure spell on everybody. And soon we're going to have to reapply the mute spell on Magisa. I haven't been watching too closely, but she can really hit you. Like if she does drain and lands it, it can be pretty devastating. But there's only one Forza, so if we can actually beat Forza down, If we can actually get rid of him, then he's gone. Then we can go back to slowly wearing down Magisa there. She has not landed regen, which is good. And there was a casting of Mute which just missed, so I do have to do that again. Mute is not 100% accurate. But she is susceptible. A lot of bosses, of course, are immune to Mute, but early in the game, they wanted to teach you that bosses can be susceptible to things. And there's a Drain that got blocked. So Drain is actually really big because that Drain's damage is based on your missing hit points. So the difference between your current HP and your max HP. And so it does half of that difference. So if she's down to about 300 health from 600 health, the Drain will do about 150, which, as you can see with my life totals, that's pretty devastating. And this battle can sometimes cost you a Phoenix down or two, but it's not usually too bad. I'm going to have, looks like it's going to be Lena again. She's going to be running low on MP here pretty soon. Seems like just her turn rolls around after our characters have taken a couple of smacks. But we're back up around the full health mark again. See, there's Magisa plunking away at us. So what I really need her to, she needs to have Mute expire on a spell like Fire or Ice. That's when I would really need that. Regen would be bad because it will wipe out a lot of the damage that we do to Forza. She can cast Regen on him, and we can't take that off of him, sadly. So we just have to really try to damage him down quickly if he gets Regen on, because it's going to start to wipe out the damage we do. But then also Drain is a bad one, where at this point, when she's around or below half of her life, she's going to be doing about 150 with a Drain. And then, of course, that applies that back to her life total. So it'll take all that damage from us and then apply it back to her, which will extend this battle significantly with the kind of damage output you can see that we have here. And this is one of the many joys of playing the Fiesta. The designers had no intention of players playing with all white mages for this battle. They had zero idea. They thought you'd have a pretty well-balanced party. And the cool thing is if you have white mage and black mage, white mage has access to armor and silence, so you can slow down Forza and you can slow down Magisa. The black mages have access to sleep, and sleep will actually put Forza to sleep, so they can really completely take him out of the battle, so that you can put him to sleep and then you can just cast all of your black magic on him and keep him sleeping. I believe that she has gotten out of her mute status, and I missed that as I was chatting before. So let's get her back in there, and then Ferris, no matter what, Ferris has to attack. It's going to be a really dire circumstance if I have to have Ferris not have an attack with that flail, because that is the by far the biggest source of damage that I have to advance my win condition in this fight. So even though we were a little bit low on health there, it would be very rare that I would have Ferris actually use her turn to cast a heal spell. So now we're back to the regular fighting status quo where everybody has enough hit points. Magisa is muted. And Ferris, as you can see, has missed her last two attacks, which is not at all uncommon. That weapon has, I believe, a 75% hit rate. So there's a Drain that got blocked by the mute spell. That's really, really nice. So when you think about its damage output, you kind of have to take 25% out of the damage output over the long term, because 25% of the hits are going to just be missers. Okay, so ice was blocked. And maybe you can't see it as well. Ferris has a speed point or two advantage over my other characters. So she, over a long battle like this, will actually end up getting significantly more turns. So it's not just about acting first. Ferris will act first in a battle. When we roll that up, there is some variance there, but Ferris usually will act first. But that is not nearly as big as over time she gets a lot more hits. So if you have access to a weapon that does more damage, or some kind of event, either a defensive or offensive event that you want happening more often, you want the character with the highest speed to have access to that. So if I have one good weapon, it's got to be in Ferris's hands. Okay, so she is back to muted, and now we have roughly 300 life, a little bit less than that now, of course, that we've had a couple more hits. About 300 hit points to take down here from Magisa. Forza is gone and gone for good. So outside of a drain landing on us, which still could happen, it would not be great, but it still definitely could happen. This is pretty much in the bag, as was expected. This isn't super difficult, but it is quite grindy as we near the 11-minute mark of this video, as I can see. And you see lots of white mages just plink, 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 plink. The next boss battle with a large beast named Galera is going to be even more interesting. I'll have access to the heal staff, which is good, so that's a free Cure 2 that you can have in your characters. But I'll still have pretty low damage output, and Galera has some really nasty counterattacks to physicals. Anyway, that is it for Forza and Magisa. We did finally get both of them down. 6 AP is our reward. It's pretty nice. That whip, sadly, is useless to us. We will not be using that whip at all on this run. We'll be selling it. The power drink we can use because we'll get a chemist much later in this game. So we're going to keep going on this run. Of course, the fishing videos will still come out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and these Final Fantasy V videos will come out about one per day. There is a playlist of these videos that are both commentated and not commentated, so you can see the other ones if you're interested in seeing what else we're doing here for Isuna for Corona. And if you want to find out how you can help make a donation, check the link that is in the description of this video. We will see you next time.